story time. It's story time. Listen, look, and learn. Hello, my name is Manuela, and I'm going to tell you a story, a fairy tale about a cobbler and two very kind elves. But first, let us start with a rhyme. I always like to start with a rhyme. Follow my words if you like. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Cobbler, cobbler, mend my shoe. Cobbler, cobbler, mend my shoe. Get it done by 2:30. 2:30 is much too late. Get it done by 8:30. Stitch it up and stitch it down. And I'll give you half a crown. I'll give you half a crown. Cobbler, cobbler, mend my shoe. Get it done by 2:30. 2:30 is far too late. Get it done by 8:30. Stitch it up and stitch it down. And I'll give you half a crown. Time for a story. It's story time. I say story, story. You say, tell me a story. Story, story. I didn't hear everybody. Story, story. Yay! Much, much better. So, this is my story. Once, not twice, not 3 times, but once upon a time, there was a kind, working, hard-working, generous shoemaker who lived with his wife above their shop. Now, their shop was once a busy and bustling shop full of people and beautiful shoes. But now it was empty and bare. It was a difficult time. They had fallen upon hard times and couldn't earn a living. All that the cobbler had left was one piece of leather to make one pair of shoes. I can't believe it, he said to his wife. I can't believe that we have come to this. This is the last pair of shoes that I will ever make, wife. His wife tried to comfort him. Go on, you can make some beautiful shoes, I'm sure. And yes, said the husband, I better make the best shoes I've ever made. And he took the scissors and cut the leather. He cut left and he cut right and laid the leather on the table, ready for the next morning to finish his last pair of shoes. He woke up the next day. He came down the stairs to the shop where he had left the pieces of leather the night before. And can you imagine his surprise when he saw not 2 pieces of leather, as he had left, but one pair of perfectly finished shoes. Wife, wife, did you do this? He cried. His wife came running. What? And she saw not pieces of leather, but a perfectly finished pair of shoes on her husband's table. Wow, she said. No, husband, not I. I did not do this. Look how beautiful they are, not a stitch out of place. We have truly been blessed, whoever did this. We must thank them. The shoemaker took the shoes and placed them in the shop window. And they were soon bought by a very wealthy man who paid more than they were worth. The shoemaker had enough money to buy food and to buy leather to make 2 more pairs of shoes. He sat at the table, he took out his scissors, and he cut the leather as he did the night before. He cut it to the left and he cut it to the right, and he put down the leather ready for the next morning to work on. The next morning came. He woke up early and sharp to make his last 2 pairs of shoes. But when he came down, imagine his surprise and look, there he found 2 pairs of perfectly made shoes. He called his wife. Wife, come, see this. Look how beautiful they are, not a stitch out of place. Whoever did this, we truly have been blessed. We should thank them. And the shoemaker placed the 2 pairs of shoes in the shop window. And it wasn't long before a young couple stopped to look at the shoes, and they bought them. They were going to use them for their marriage, and they paid double of what the shoes were really worth. The shoemaker couldn't believe it. The shoemaker now could buy enough leather to make 4 pairs of shoes. And that's what he did. And he sat down with the leather and he cut it to the left and he cut it to the right, put the pieces of leather on the table ready for the next morning. He went to bed, and then the next morning, guess what? What happened when he woke up? Yes, you're right. When he came down, there was not 1 pair of shoes, not 2, not 3, but 4. 4 perfectly made shoes. We have truly been blessed. Whoever did this, we must thank them. And they placed the shoes in the window, in the shop window again. And soon they were bought. And this happened day in and day out, week after week, month after month. And the shoemaker and his wife became wealthy. And soon it was Christmas time. And they sat one evening, warming their hands in front of the fireplace. And the cobbler's wife looked at her husband and said, "You know, husband, we've been so lucky. I think I would like to see who it is who has helped us to get all of this wealth. I think we should stay up." The husband thought for a moment and then said, "Wife, this is a very good idea. We will stay up. We will stay up tonight. We can hide behind the curtain, and we leave a little light on, and the light from the fire, and we will see." And that's what they did. They waited and they waited and they waited. And when 12 o'clock came, ding, dong, the door flew open. They could see from behind the curtain, and two little creatures came dancing in, running very quickly. They can only be described as two elves, just like these. And they moved very quickly and swiftly, and they sang and they danced around the table. "We are elves, you'll never see nothing like we. We fast and quick, and our fingers work for free. Yeah, our fingers work for free." They started to work. They took the leather and they stitched and they sewed and they sewed and they sewed and they sewed. And then they rapped and they tapped and rat-a-tat-tat. And they rapped and they tapped and they rapped and they rapped and they tapped with the hammer, rat-a-tat-tat, so fast that they rapped, tapped, rapped, tapped, rapped, tapped. And then, just before the sun rose in the sky, they had finished row upon row of perfectly made shoes with not one stitch out of place. And they left as quickly as they had arrived. "Aha," said the wife and husband. "How beautiful was that? They worked so fast, and the shoes are splendid." And the wife said to the cobbler, "But did you not see that they did not even have one piece of clothing? Nothing on their back to keep them warm in this cold winter night." The wife thought, "Idea, husband, I have an idea. I shall make them each a shirt, a waistcoat, trousers, and an overcoat. That's what I'll do." And the husband said, "That's a very good idea, wife. Yes." And so the wife started sewing and stitching with all the love she had in her heart, the love and the gratitude for what these little two creatures had done for them. And as the wife was sewing the beautiful waistcoat and the overcoat and the trousers, she worked carefully and lovingly. And when the two outfits were ready, she placed them on the table in the shoe shop. And there were two shirts, two waistcoats, the trousers, the overcoats, and the shoes. And for a second time, they hid behind the curtain and waited till 12 o'clock came. And they waited, and they waited, and they waited. And soon 12 o'clock struck. Dong, dong. And the door flew open, and in came the elves, dancing and singing, ready for more work. We are elves. Our fingers work for free. We are elves. And then they stopped to look what was on the table. And they saw these beautiful overcoats, beautiful waistcoats, beautiful shirts, and beautiful trousers. Oh, and look, the shoes. And in a blink of an eye, the two elves changed and put on their new outfits. And there was a pure sound of joy. They now had clothes. We are fancy. We are free, they said. No more work for we. No more work for we, they said. We have new clothes. We are fancy. We are free. And with that, they danced and sang out of the shop. And they disappeared in the distance, just as they had came. And the shoemaker and his wife never saw the elves again. But they never forgot them for what they had done for them. The shoemaker and his wife became very, very wealthy. Their business thrived, and they always had enough to make sure that they could live together happily ever after. My story, did I tell? In your heart, let it swell. Thank you. Merry Christmas. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.